wanted to film a video from this exact location because it's a perfect demonstration of what I'm going to talk about today. The separation or the detachment between the economy and the actual real economy here in America. You've got the dilapidated building right behind me, and beyond that you see the Ren Center, the 7 buildings that are General Motors world headquarters. They also have offices in Manhattan and other places, but this is the main base of General Motors. It all starts here, the 7 buildings behind me. And so you see it like an illusion, but what you don't realize there when you look at it, General Motors, for example, went bankrupt, and Ford is the only company that hasn't gone bankrupt. And if you go back to the turn of the century, there's over 1,800 car companies all at once. And most of them, almost all of them, 99.99% went bankrupt, merged with other companies and went bankrupt, just went out of business. So this is what I always relate to a lot of the altcoins right now and cryptocurrencies. There's so many altcoins. If you think most of these altcoins will be here 5-10 years from now, you're dreaming. It's going to be a culling of all the altcoins. A lot of them are going to be losing a tremendous amount of value or disappearing altogether. And what they wanted to say about General Motors when they went bankrupt, one thing that people don't realize, you say, the buildings are still here, they're still making cars, they're still employing employees, and the thing is that if you own shares in General Motors when they went bankrupt, those shares then basically become worthless. And all of the assets of the company go to the creditors, which are basically the banks and the companies that own all of the underlying value in General Motors. It's not the share. I'm just going to talk about this really quickly just to finish off this thought. Then I've got a few other things to go to. I want to talk about the splintering of the American economy. But what happens is that people say, well, if they're a big company and they're still operating, why don't I buy the bankruptcy shares for pennies, basically trading at 20 cents or whatever, because General Motors will always be around. They don't realize that they're losing 100% of all the money they invest in it. There's just a window of time after a company declares bankruptcy that they will still trade. You can still sell the shares, buy more shares. But what you don't realize is you're buying the shares which are deemed for bankruptcy. They are going to have no value soon. And a lot of people get tricked by that. They misunderstand and they invest in bankrupt companies thinking they're getting a good deal. If you buy a low price stock, you buy a penny stock, you think, well, how much can I lose? You can lose 100% of every penny you invest in that company. So there's a big detachment right now between the reality of the economy, which is demonstrated by this dilapidated building behind me, and what looks like fiscal success with this company that owns this huge location and all these huge buildings. You think that that is the dream. You want to go from the dilapidated building to the big high-rise in the city. But it's an illusion, as I told you. I want to talk to you about some of the other detachments. For example, real estate, where the costs or the price of a home is out of reach for most people. Home price affordability has never been so stretched, so difficult for people. It will only get worse as interest rates increase further. But there's also detachment in the strength of the underlying economy in the actual US dollar itself. Now the thing is, the US dollar as a fiat currency is up against all the other fiat currencies all over the world, which are doing not as well as the American dollar. The American dollar is just an idea that we all agree upon. The value of a $20 bill will be agreed upon by somebody that you give the money to who's 2 states away. They'll get the value of the $20 bill. It's a confidence thing. You have confidence in the US dollar. And so that's how it works. But every currency being fiat is in a competition with each other, where the other fiat currencies are in a little bit worse situation than the American dollar. I'd rather have the American dollar than any other currency. There's a lot of money flow into the US dollar. A lot of people want the US dollar worldwide because we are the petrodollar, we are the reserve currency that's going to create a tremendous amount of demand for those dollars. But just like every other currency in the world, the US dollar is also a fiat currency, meaning that it's not backed up by anything. It's not attached to gold anymore like it used to be. But the US dollar is the strongest currency of all, so people want the US dollar. It's the one that's most respected, the one that has the most actual value. So there's a detachment there, and just like with real estate, just like with the US dollar, just like with the difference between the actual economy and the seeming economy, those detachments are going to be a problem. They'll eventually go back to the way they should be. This is why I was telling you that the weak economy is a problem. The weak economy is an issue and they're trying to tell you such a strong economy, they're belying the fact that there's a lot of underlying weakness. And so what does this all mean? What is this just trying to depress you? Am I just trying to make you feel bad or worried? If I'm making you feel worried, that's a good thing, because you should. But it's all about, what do you do about it? How do you, in this situation, this environment, where the economy itself is a lot weaker than you're being told, where the economy itself is going to have a lot of problems or cause a lot of problems. You might have a decline in your standard of living. You might be getting a job which you're less interested in doing, where you make less money at your job. You might be feeling the effects of inflation, as we all are right now. But it's all about, now, in this situation, there's not anything you can do about it in terms of changing it, unless you're a politician or something like that. But there's things you can do about it to protect yourself and land on your feet in this environment. This is the situation we're in, so what are you going to do about it? Well, you can do things like preserve your wealth by, as I always tell you, own some precious metals, gold and silver. Investing companies are involved in the gold and silver space, but also you want to watch the mix of investments that you do own. A lot of the speculative stuff that has done so well in recent history, that's started to reverse, and you're starting to see the markets now do have vulnerability. As I've been telling you this whole time, because the economy is weak, it was clearly showing that these markets couldn't maintain their current level. That's what I've been telling you for ages. And now the stocks have come down. Hopefully you position yourself to get out of a lot of high-flying speculative stuff. And the one thing you can do, and you're doing it right now, which is so cool, is you can learn. You can learn everything you need to know. You have the access to all human knowledge on your phone, anywhere that there's Wi-Fi. You can learn what you need to learn to land on your feet. And one way to do that is to start watching the right kinds of people. You watch these videos. That's why you subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to keep telling you when things are hitting a capitulation point. I'm going to tell you what you can do to preserve your wealth and protect yourself and help the people that you care about. For example, you get involved with the right kinds of companies that will survive better during a recession. As you know, because you're watching these videos and you're educating yourself, you're learning that a recession is coming. And what happens when there's a recession? Unemployment rate spikes. You're going to have an increase in delinquencies. You're going to have more bankruptcies, more hardship on companies, so then they have to hire less people, pay people less, or maybe fire people. You want to be involved in the right kinds of investments, and understand that nothing I say in this video at all is intended as personalized trading advice for you. You get involved in the right kinds of companies. For example, ones that weather recession better, defensive companies, companies in healthcare, companies with recurring revenue, businesses that help people and other businesses save money. They'll be in big demand. And these are the kinds of companies that we talk about in the peterleeds.com newsletter, because we're trying to find these opportunities that are trading at less than $5 each that will help you turn a few $100s into a few thousand. That's what it's all about. That's why I started this company, because I wanted to find a way to get a leg up. If I only had a little bit of money, how do I make that into a lot of money? And that way have a better quality of life. And this is an opportunity right now, because there's so much happening. There's so many wheels rolling, so many things changing as we speak, as you watch this video. Debt levels are ballooning, costs of things are increasing, people are making less money. All this adds up to the fact that there's a lot of transition right now, and in transition comes opportunity. And these opportunities are right in front of you right now. You're going to want to start capturing some of these. A lot of things you want to invest in, assets, will be lower in price in the future. So you should be already making a strike list of understanding what you're going to do as the recession happens, as everything starts to unravel. We've been telling ourselves the economy is so strong. We've been having our politicians and Federal Reserve representatives saying the economy is so strong for so long. People are starting to believe it. And the thing is, when there's a belief that's wrong and there's reality, and you see that difference, in that space lies all the opportunity for you. Jane and I went around Detroit yesterday and found all my favorite scouting locations for future YouTube videos. You guys will see a few of these in the future. Right now, this is my favorite because of what it represents. The dilapidated building plus all the high rises behind it from a company that actually declared bankruptcy. Think about that and let that sink in for a bit. Remember, you guys, that you know we love you, we do it for you and because of you. That's a fact, because we had 650 subscribers on YouTube. And I was walking away, man. I was done. I was in the wind. And you guys were the ones who encouraged me, that I was helping you, that I was basically giving you a leg up, letting you understand stuff. Because the way I explain things, I think, complicated topics, I think I do a good job of talking to you like a regular person. I do a good job of really skinning it down to show you the way to look at things. And maybe I'm just a crazy kook or something, but the way I see things works out pretty well for me. I'm hoping that if you see the way I see things, it'll work out for you as well. That's a wrap.